Hey, I'm David Arquette, WCW champion. You're listening in the Potsy and Tino show.
You know, one of these days we'll actually have a video team that'll fix those so that way you don't see my funny face right at the end of that. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Potsy Fans Network brings you as tag team champions of the world, the Road Dogg Tino Gray, the badass Rob Potsy Pochek. That's right, the Potsy and Tino show. Our theme song, as always, is brought to you by Adam's House Cats, called The Wrestling Song. It's available on iTunes for 99 Jones. 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 Anyways, with that said, Tino, as always, you know as well as I do, we always start the show with a little segment called
"What's Up With You, Jones?"
It should say, Jones, what's up with you?
Y'all turn to Jones. All right. In a good mood day, eating my chicken Alfredo you caught me mid-bite, like you came on, I was like, but
yeah, when I saw you launch your video, I was like, he's still eating. And granted, folks, just so everybody knows, Tino gets out of work. A lot of times sometimes he's off by 7:45. Other times he's off by 8 o'clock. Tonight, unfortunately, it took about till 8:15, and he was still like,
I'm still trying to eat. It's like I didn't get it because my wife was cooking while I was doing my class, and then it's done. I bust out. Is it ready? Okay. Boom, 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 boom. I'm going back to the show.
And the whole time I'm sitting there when he's got me on camera, I'm sitting there going, "That shit looks good.
It looks good.
That shit, I wish I was invited over."
You come over with a cat, your allergies would go crazy.
It's true. It's true. I have to sit outside.
But let's see. This week, it was a pretty good week. It's Nicole's birthday was yesterday, so it was just a weekend of spoiling her and getting her doing what she wants to do. She got a new tattoo Saturday.
I saw that
it's on the inside of her arm. It's on
the inside. I thought it was on the outside.
It's like right where my cross. It's like on this part of her arm on the inside, and it's a fine line or something. It's like what they just did your thin line tattoos or whatever. Instead of a 5-gauge needle, they use like a 3-gauge or something, and it says real intricate. It's real cool. And what it is the kids. She went and looked online and saw that their birth flower is a poppy. So she got the poppy, and then at the bottom, she's got their names in cursive kind of thing. So she's got her, and so we did that. And then Sunday, her actual birthday, we got up and went to IHOP for breakfast, and then she came back and she chilled in her hammock and read. And I went and got her cake. She wanted a nothing bundt cake, and they're open on Sundays now, so I went and picked it up.
I do like the nothing bundt cakes.
Her favorite is the white chocolate raspberry. You ever had that one?
No.
It is pretty good. It's good. And so we got her that, and then we went to Cheesecake Factory for dinner. That's what she wanted. So it's pretty chill. Last Tuesday, Wednesday, our refrigerator got delivered.
Did it?
I told you about that. So they delivered it and we got it, everything's in it. And so that's cool.
So is it all the bells and whistles?
Yeah, she's got she's just excited now because the old refrigerator we had, the ice maker stopped working like 8 years ago, right? So now she's excited because she get the water and ice in the door now, and it's the French door refrigerator. And
you guys went fancy.
Yeah, the freezer in the bottom, so it's stainless steel, which with a 15-year-old, I'm like, son, come back, wipe this down, because he just fingerprints and he just opens stuff and peanut butter sandwiches, peanut butter and jelly spread on it. I'm like, dude. And so And so I'm like, I'm gonna kill you. And so so that's it. So we're learning, getting used to that. And like I said, had the her birthday's weekend, and then this coming weekend, I'm off to Hickory for my monthly trek down there. So the guy that I usually play with, so I DJ Friday night, and then Saturday, that's when I do my acoustic duo with the
Is
guy
that with
named Chris.
Waba?
No, is Chris Day. So I've been playing with him up there for a few years now, but he had to have like I say an outpatient back surgery. So because I guess his vertebrae was pushing on the spine, or not the spine, the nerve or whatever. So he had to shave some of it down, and so he'll be out probably for about a month. So Overstreet lives up there now. So
Chris
we're gonna have
Overstreet. Yeah, that was from Secondhand Flapjack.
so we're gonna have a secondhand flapjack reunion up there because that's what we started playing up in Hickory. So it's gonna be up in Hickory one night only. So he agreed to play with me since he lives there now because that's where he's from. So we'll do that, and that's going to be kind of cool. And then I come back because then I have to come back Sunday because one of my wife's co-workers is getting married. So I have to haul ass back from Hickory, come home, change, and then get back in the car to drive to Chapel Hill for the wedding. So
I want to point out to everybody that could possibly go to this Hickory show that you're doing. Okay. Now, I've met Chris Overstreet, right? I met him, 20 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
15, 20 years ago, right? So, folks, I'm going to tell you right now, this dude is such a good guitarist. And I'm not even fucking around here. He is such a good guitarist that he looks bored off his ass playing for Tino because he just walks around like this. And he literally plays like that where he's his whole head is just like, and yet
he's singing the next
every song that you know, and he is doing it
and singing harmony and all that stuff.
But I mean, dude could literally, because I do remember the one time you actually let me sing with the band. Like Overstreet was playing, and Overstreet was like, "All right, is he gonna actually get to what I'm sitting here playing, or do I just have to keep playing the same side notes?" And I'm like, "Oh, let me. There we go." And but he is so good that he literally doesn't need you to sit there and cue him to anything. You just let him go, and if you need to sit there and re-sing a same line twice or whatever because you think it's going to be the way to make it work better, he just sits there and knows.
But that was also just we played so long together and so long and so much together we could same wavelength. Like he knew what song I was thinking and would start playing it before I could say it, right? And that's how we were. And or I could be off somewhere and I can hear like the first few chords. I'm like, all right, that's the song. That's where we're going, right? And it was just, it was cool.
Well, my point though is that it's almost like how we are with this show, where like if I stop talking, you're gonna sit there and chime in. If you chime in, I'm gonna stop talking. Like it, and in most cases, we feel the same way about pro wrestling. Mm-hmm. Is how you guys are with music. It's incredible to watch because I bet more people than just me wonder why like Secondhand Flapjack still isn't around. But obviously it's because he lives out in Hickory, you're out here. Mm-hmm. It's kind of hard to make that work unless you guys are both going to be in the same area.
Yeah, and every few years if we're in the same area, we'll plan something. Like we did something for Ruckus 5-6 years ago, so every once in a while
I think I was there for that one.
Yeah. So we'll pull it up. So this time, so we decided, I'm like, hey, we'll pull it out. We hadn't played together in Hickory in years, so we put that out there. The place that we're playing is a place that we used to pack out, so they're gonna obviously, market it for us and all that stuff. So hopefully we'll have a pretty good turnout.
So if anybody's going to be in the Hickory area, by all means, go see the Secondhand Flapjack reunion with the Tino Gray Experience.
Yes. And then that is, I think that's it. That's all I got excitement.
Pretty much what's going on with you. All right. So this week, just so you know, Saturday, I was hanging out with my nephew, and he was like, "Hey, is it okay if I come back to your place and drink?" Right? My nephew's 20, so I'm not going to say what his name is or anything else. Not going to try to get him in trouble or anything. But the family all seems to be okay with him as long as we know that he's going to be staying in the same place, not leaving, not doing anything like that. That he's okay with having a couple alcoholic beverages. I mean, just like we were back in the day, right? So I brought him over to the house. We watched Tombstone. He had never watched Tombstone before. Now, I don't know about you, but Tombstone is my favorite movie, Tino. Well, I thought I'd already owned it. Apparently, I didn't. Like digitally. I definitely have a Blu-ray edition of it, but I don't even know if I have a Blu-ray player anymore. I mean, my PlayStation, my Xbox are both Blu-ray players, but you know what I mean. Like you're sitting there going, "Let me just look it up," and what the fuck do you mean I don't own it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, "All right, let's buy it again. Let's buy the highest visual quality version that I can own." And the two of us sat there and watched, and it's really cool because my nephew and I are getting along so well right now, which is crazy because I'm going to tell everybody for the first like 7 to 9 years of his life, that kid would look at me and just be like, But as soon as he started driving, and as soon as he was like, oh, I could hang out with Uncle Rob, and and he likes video games. Oh, and he likes this. And before I knew it, like he was like, "Can we hang out? Can we hang out?" And last week he calls me and he goes, "Hey, is there any way that we can hang out on Saturday?" And or he actually asked about Friday, and I was like, "I'm not going out Friday. I'm watching SmackDown. I'm not doing anything on Friday. But Saturday we can absolutely go out." And he's like, "Cool." And then he tells me, because last week I was telling you about his new job. Well, he's like, "Oh, and I didn't tell you one of the best parts. Saturday we close at 4:00, so we only have to work until 4 on Saturdays now, right?"
Right.
And he's like, "So I can even go home, change clothes, and then come hang out. I don't even have to come wearing my work
Uniform."
gear." And it's like, cool, whatever, like sure. So it was really cool hanging out with him that night. Another friend of mine, Tessa, had her family in town, and she wanted me to meet her little brother and everything because her brother is both a wrestling fan and a comic book fan. So she was like, "Oh, he's just gonna talk your ear off." So I sat there and I walked over and I was like, "So who's your favorite wrestler?" And he started telling me. He said his favorite wrestler, believe it or not, Tino. You want to take a guess?
The Godfather.
Okay, current WWE. You want to take a guess?
Logan Paul.
No, stop it. No, he said Bianca Belair.
Oh, okay.
And I was a little surprised by that. And so I said, "Well, have you been okay with Bianca Belair's recent like change in attitude?" And he goes, "I don't know what you're talking about. Naomi's the one that turned on Jade Cargill." And I was like, "Oh!" And I was kind of Lee Corsoing for a second. I was like, "Not so fast there, my friend." But I didn't. I was like, I wanted him to tell me all about it, and I think he's going to be sorely disappointed when
How old is he?
I don't know, 12, 9, 10, 12. Yeah. But I was like, he's going to be sorely disappointed when it all comes back and everybody's like, "Oh shit, it really was Bianca Belair." But Saturday when I got home after hanging out with everybody, I ended up finding out that Die Hard 3 is going to be in store soon because my copies showed up at my house.
Oh.
And I normally get them about a week and a half to 2 weeks before they're in comic book shops.
Nice.
So I got to look at it. I did find an error in the damn book, and I'm very disappointed. Instead of the word way, it says the word was. And I'm mad about that because I definitely went through twice trying to make sure that there was going to be no errors in the book because my name is on the book as editor. And this is now like the third error I've ever made in a comic book.
And I'm sure nobody cares. You'll be fine.
Well, I truly think that what's going to happen is when people read it, they're just going to read it the way that it's meant to be read. They're not even going to think that that word is wrong.
Yep.
But even still, I saw it. I was disappointed.
I get it. I get it.
I take all the blame. But so one of the other things I want to mention. Do you know who John Lasseter is?
Name sounds familiar.
Name should sound very familiar. The guy got his start back in the, I want to say the late 80s with a company called Apple. Okay.
Okay.
Then in the 90s, he got his real move into being the president of a little company called Pixar.
Okay.
Okay. And then, when Pixar went through its whole like Disney struggles and everything else, when Disney bought Pixar, he became the actual head of animation at Disney Animation Studios. So he was in charge of Pixar, and he was also the head of Disney Animation Studios. Now he is the head of a company called Skydance Animation Studios. Now Skydance has been around for years. They've done movies like the Mission Impossible movies and other things like that, right? But now they're trying to create an animation studio, just like Pixar, just like Illumination, just like all of those, Blue Sky, a couple other ones, right? Well, I saw a post on Facebook from John Lasseter, who is a friend of mine on Facebook. Now, do I truly know John Lasseter? No. But do we send friend requests to people we don't actually know from time to time? 100% yes, right? So I sat there and my buddy TJ just sat there and sent me a message saying that he let a fart out. But and I'm sure I'm getting another message right now because I just heard the zzz from my phone. But anyways, John Lasseter posted something saying that he is all about wanting to try to reignite those creative energies and everything, right?
Right.
And while saying that, he also sat there and said he also knows that sometimes it's very difficult for certain people to get those creative energies out there. So the easiest way for him to try to get the creative energies to flow and move between different areas is to ask people to sit there and send their creative ideas to him. So, Tino, I know that you made your comic book debut in a book called Zor.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to let you know specifically on here right now that I sent him Zor.
Oh, shit.
So I sent the guy that created Pixar the entire pitch deck as well as the entire story of Zor. So we'll see.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I swung for the fences there, sir.
You got it. Speaking of, so I was because Matthew, I mean, I'm sure I'm probably gonna get him on here because he's heavily into Marvel and DC. All of a sudden, he's just got this fascination, right? And so he's like talking about the Marvel movies and all this other stuff. He goes, "When's Rob gonna get junior high horrors? Like, is he gonna get it like a show?" I'm like, "Well, because of the copyrights, probably not." Blah blah blah. But he goes, "If he does something, do you think he'd let me act on it?" I'm like, "I'll ask." he's wanting. He's starting to get into it because he's like Miles Morales and all this. I think I want to try it, but he's shy. I'm like, "Dude, no, you don't, because you don't like people looking at you, and you don't want to be in a crowd." He's like, "Yeah, you're right, but if that's something small, like if Rob did something, I might do something." I'm like, "Oh, I'll talk to him, buddy."
Dude, I'll tell you right now, if your son decided he wanted to actually start doing like little short videos on like TikTok, wearing a Miles Morales Spider-Man costume, but not wearing the mask, he'd probably get away with that shit.
Probably.
Because when he lets his little afro grow out,
yeah,
like I could totally see him being Miles Morales.
Yeah, he's funny. He's like, yeah, because the girl that played Miss Marvel got discovered on like like one of those apps or something like that. I'm like, what? Shut up. No. He's like, yeah. I'm like, wow.
So John Wick 4, the girl that was the concierge for the Osaka Continental is like an actual singer, and the director just liked her enough and said, "Hey, do you want to be in the new John Wick movie?" And she was like, "Do I get to be like badass?" And he's like, "Well, you got to learn how to be badass, but yeah." And she's like, "I'm in." Like that's just how it is. Speaking of which, I don't know if you heard, this week was CinemaCon, which is the biggest like movie show in terms of like they basically fly a bunch of like the Regal managers and stuff out to this convention, and Lionsgate officially announced. Now you've seen all the John Wick movies so far? All right. So John Wick 4, right? Yes, there's 4. Donnie Yen's character, Kane.
Yes.
Donnie Yen is starring and directing in a Kane spinoff movie.
Oh, shit.
And I hope it shows how he loses his eyes. Right?
I'm excited about it. So you think it'll be an origin?
I do think that one's going to be a prequel. And so that's not it. I got two more things here. They have announced a prequel anime style John Wick movie that shows the impossible task from number 2 when he has the marker that says I needed to complete an impossible task, and he had to sign the marker with the guy that ends up getting him in all the trouble. They're doing a movie that's anime style of that.
Oh, damn.
And John Wick 5 was officially greenlit.
I mean, they're trying to catch up with Fast and Furious.
So I don't think so. I truly think, and have I told you how I would do John Wick 5? Okay, now you know that I obviously write comic books and whatever. Like I come up with ideas all the time. I even created a way to bring back Nightmare on Elm Street if they wanted to do it. Like I wrote it. I it's out there. Like people can ask me for it. But if I were to write John Wick 5, here's how I do it, Tino. And I know we haven't even gotten to the pro wrestling, and there's so much fucking pro wrestling to get to tonight.
Yeah, there is.
Don't worry, we'll get to it. And I'll blow through the parts that we can blow through, but there are going to be parts where we have to deep dive into, and you know what I'm talking about already. Yeah. But here's how I do John Wick 5. You ready?
Okay.
I literally hire back every single one of the people that he left alive in the first 4 movies. and I have them. So, folks, if you don't know, the theory is that at the end of John Wick 4, John Wick was dead. I'm sorry, hate to break it to you. You had a year, maybe even longer, to sit there and figure all that out at this point. But you hire back John Leguizamo. You hire back Common. You hire back Kevin Nash. You hire back Holly Berry. You hire back Adriana Palicki. All of the characters that were still alive. Palicki might have actually been dead, but she's hot, so I want her back. But you hire back all of the characters that he left alive. So they go to his funeral, and they're all sitting at the Continental telling John Wick stories. That way, when you actually want Keanu Reeves to be in the movie, you do flashback. And you do it in such a way that everybody is cool with it. And you do like 4 different or 5 different flashbacks that take like 30 minutes each, which shows them why John Wick was such a badass.
That's a long ass movie. They got 5 30-minute flashbacks.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Maybe 20-minute flashbacks. But even still, you see what I mean? Like, that's how I would do it. I wouldn't do it where you're actually saying, "Oh, John Wick's still alive," because it kind of undoes the end of John Wick 4. Now, at the same time, I did actually think if you want John Wick to be able to be alive, then at the end of the entire thing, you basically have the black pants with the black shoes and the dog walk into the bar at the end at the Continental, and they all turn and they're like, "Oh," and that's how you end the movie. And tell me that's not badass.
That would be pretty good.
So, anyways, that's how I would do it. But Tino, for me personally, like I mentioned, Die Hard 3 is going to be in stores in the next couple weeks. Got my copies of it. Super excited for everybody to see it. Really, the whole story blew me away.
When did you turn in that pitch? I'm excited about that. When are you going to know about that?
Just turned it in the other day. He hasn't messaged me back. We'll see. Who knows?
Damn.
But I was excited about it, so I wanted to tell you guys. Another thing that I want to mention right here real quick for anybody that's actually paying attention, Zor has the possibility to be up for Best Kids Book at the Ringo Awards. So if everybody could go to ringoawards.com, there's a click that you click on that asks you if you want to nominate somebody. Nominate Zor for Best Kids Book. If you want to nominate me for Best Writer, that's great. If you want to nominate Michael Adams for Best Artist or Best Colorist, that's great. Actually, Best Colorist, he probably truly deserves. His color work on Zor was absolutely incredible. Nobody can deny that. The book looks absolutely stunning. But if we could get Zor nominated for Best Kids Book, I think that that's our best opportunity to really get the book looked at, get people actually going, wow, this really was something special. And who knows, like if we get enough people to sit there and nominate it, it means that more people are actually going to get their hands on the book. So if you could, please nominate Zor. I'll put this up at the end of the show as well, but it really is important to me that we try to get Zor nominated for best kids book from the Ringo Awards. Tino, I'm ready to jump into pro wrestling. I'm trying to find my Raw from last week stuff, because obviously tonight they're back in. Oh, here we are. Raw from last week. Did you finally get a chance to watch it?
Yeah.
So let's start at the beginning. Let's start at the beginning of the show.
All right. Cena's promo was fucking fire. Cody.
Well, remember, Cody actually cut him off at the pass and said, "You've had 2 weeks to sit here and talk. Now it's my turn."
Yeah, but yeah, and it's right, and it's kind of like I saw somebody on TikTok said Cody pulled the Eminem in 8 Mile, where he took the mic first and said everything bad about himself before John could say it. Right? I'm like, yeah, he did do that, right? So he
I think
did do
Terrence
that.
said that too.
Yeah, but then Cena burned him, and Cody just came back with big jokes and you can't wrestle. You know what I mean? It is Cena ate him alive. Cena ate him.
Did he though?
Mm-hmm.
So you don't think that it was more 50-50?
Cody, he did pretty good, but everything he had, Cena came back and just Cena roasted him in my opinion.
I mean, I agree with you. I think that I do think that what happened between Cena and Cody definitely did seem like Cena had to get the one up. We also know, and you're like super low now.
I leaned back in the desk chair. Sorry.
There we go. Yeah. Now we just both look super huge, but
yeah.
I
had it that way. See
no. It makes sense to sit there and try to keep us like centered.
Yeah.
But Cody got a lot of barbs off. Like they both nailed like the John Cena line where he said, "I made money for billionaires. You just stole money from their kids," was awesome. Cody, before that, though, sat there and said, "I had to leave here and start my own company, and then I had to tuck tail and run back to you guys." Like he said all that, so he'd already admitted to it. So it didn't really help John Cena's comment that Cody had already mentioned that,
Yeah.
John Cena sitting there saying that Cody basically hung under the learning tree of John Cena so that he could steal everything from him was a pretty good one. And I mean, now we're a full 7 days out, and I can't really remember the lines.
Yeah, but I just remember at the end of that promo, and you're right, Cena had to come back because leading up to that, Cody always had the last word and called him bitch, and you need to bring this John Cena, not this. So Cena had to come back. Cena came back, and it makes sense. He came back. He did his thing, and like you said, I'm starting to think like you think. We probably won't see Cena again at WrestleMania. So he had to come with fire to leave that last little before we see him again at WrestleMania.
The thing that shocked me is that they didn't play up the fact that Cena's not going to be there again before Mania. Like if I were the WWE and Cena's talking about how much he hates everything going on, the first, well, maybe the last thing I would have said was, "I'm done. I will see you at Mania. You will not see me again because they don't deserve it." That's how I would have done that.
And maybe, do you think maybe he'll say, so that's it, right? So he's not going to be there tonight?
He's not supposed to be.
Okay.
In fact, I know WWE has already announced that Paul Heyman is there tonight to talk about his answer to the favor, which we will talk about obviously at length later. But
now they could do a, and this is what I would do, a pre-record and say we have comments from Cena, and he could say what you just said. You guys don't deserve me to be there. You don't deserve to see me again until WrestleMania. They could do that.
It is possible. It is possible, but knowing that he's not going to be there, like I don't know. It's tough because with it being the Triple H era, we don't know if Triple H is going to go, hey, can you record an Instagram video? You know what I mean?
They do it all. Everybody else does. Rock, Logan, they all do it.
They a bunch of them do. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there. I don't know if you noticed, but John Cena did post a picture of Charlotte Flair this week.
No.
And we'll talk more about that later too, I'm sure.
Michael Turner, yes.
Yes, as of right now, I see John Cena beating Cody. I don't know if it's going to be straight up. I don't know if it's going to be The Rock helps John Cena. I don't know if Travis Scott helps John Cena. I don't know who helps John Cena. But as of right now, it could be Will fucking Smith sitting there dropping F-bombs in his new album. And I told Terrence straight up when he goes, what kind of world do we live in where Will Smith is putting a parental advisory logo on his new album? And I said, he's working with John Cena. Like, that's literally what I'm thinking. It could be.
It's Cena's last Mania. So yeah, he'll win the title.
So I'm still wondering. And 95% of me is still believing, yes, this is his 100% last WrestleMania. But how do we know when he said last year at Money in the Bank that his last WrestleMania wasn't as the happy-go-lucky John Cena character? Like right now, the evil John Cena, I could totally see sitting there going, I told you it was my last time, but that was when I was happy John Cena. Now, I'll be here forever, bitches.
Damn.
And we don't know. But I do think he's a man of his word. Because so far, even everything that he said as an evil person hasn't been a lie. Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think he's going to hold to his truth. So we're there with that. But Michael, as of right now, yes, I think that he wins. What do you think of this?
I think AJ is going to put Logan over. As much as I hate it, I think that's what Logan needs. Logan, as much as I hate, you love to hate him. There's no denying that this dude is athletic. This dude has picked it up. This dude is good. But I think he needs to have the rub, so to say. And I think AJ Styles, this is a good match for him to get the rub. So I think AJ's gonna do the favors at Mania just to give Logan that rub to kind of to validate him and to bring him up that next level.
It is a really good statement. My question to you is, how good does Logan Paul make AJ Styles look?
Logan's good enough to make Logan. I think he's good enough. He can have a good match with AJ, and I don't think AJ will have to carry him. Let's say that. I don't think AJ will have to carry him.
Like I'm telling you right now, I think this match could be match of the night of whatever night of WrestleMania it actually is on. The other thing that I want to point out here is that AJ Styles versus Logan Paul is because WWE trusts AJ Styles as one of the top guys in the entire company to have that celebrity match.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it
only person
we can say whatever we can say whatever we want about AJ Styles and Triple H not getting along, because if I had to guess, the two of them don't really see eye to eye as to where AJ Styles' spot on the card should be. Because I'll tell you right now, I don't agree with the Triple H spot of AJ Styles on the card. Now, granted, the last 3 times the world title has changed hands, AJ Styles has been the very first competitor to go after it, which means he knows if you want to sell your champion as a champion, you put him up against AJ Styles. But at the same time, he doesn't see AJ Styles as that champion.
Mm-hmm.
And this all goes back to
same thing with Daniel Bryanson. He didn't see it in Daniel Bryanson.
Well, this all goes back to when you and I were flat out talking about when John Cena went on record as saying, I am going against a guy from Georgia.
Yeah.
For the World Heavyweight Championship, and people don't know his name. You know, I was trying to remember how he said it. That's the only reason why I was like hiccuping there.
Yeah, I remember what you're saying. I remember what
And he sat there and said, I'm going against a guy from Georgia for the World Heavyweight Championship. And he literally wouldn't say AJ Styles' name. And yet AJ Styles made him remember his name because they had 3 matches by the time it was over?
Yep.
But at the same time, John Cena buried him. And it reminds me of way back. I don't know. Did you ever read Chris Jericho's first autobiography?
I've read them all. So yeah, it's been a minute.
So in the first one, he sits there and he talks about how at one point he's going after the championship and somebody just sits there and goes, well, go out there and talk about your opponent. And he sits there and he's like, he's a piece of shit. I hate him. I don't want to work with him, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden he gets to the backstage area, and the backstage, like Dusty Rhodes, Eric Bischoff, Ric Flair. And he's like, how did that help sell your match? You didn't make your opponent look good. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to have a terrible match? Because now, if I book you to lose, you just lost to a piece of shit. And that's what you and I, like 8 years ago, because holy shit, dude, we've been doing this show for 10 years now, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah, I looked it up the other day. We had episodes in 2015. But AJ Styles versus John Cena literally had us sitting there going, John Cena's burying him. And this is one of the best workers in the industry. And John Cena should be sitting there going, I can't believe I get the opportunity to work with this guy. But instead, sat there and said, I get to work with a guy from Georgia. Didn't even mention his fucking name. So Logan Paul getting to work with AJ Styles is probably, if I had to guess, because Logan Paul actually said, that's a guy that made me want to be a pro wrestler. And I want to work with him before he's done.
Or they knew that AJ would give him a good match. Like I said, I don't think there's too many people that can hang with Logan Paul. Back in the day, HBK, you know what I mean? AJ Styles, there's not too many that can hang with Logan Paul right now.
Well, it worries me that they don't think a guy like Carmelo Hayes can do it, because Carmelo Hayes should be able to do it.
Yeah, I didn't even think about Carmelo. You're right.
You know, he's already worked with Rey Mysterio. He's already worked with Dominic Mysterio. He's already worked with The Miz. Like, he's worked with a bunch of the guys that, like, are safe, right? Like anybody who comes back after being out for a really long time, their first match is Dominic Mysterio, Randy Orton, fucking CM Punk, both of them, Dominic Mysterio, right? We know he's a safe worker. Finn Balor, same shit. Why is it that Logan Paul is going against AJ Styles? Because AJ Styles is one of the greatest of all time. And Logan Paul probably said, before he retires, I want him.
Okay.
Like, if I had to guess, I don't think this is an AJ Styles pick. I think this is a Logan Paul pick.
Okay.
All right. Now.
He fucked Jimmy up. I think this is what it takes. Okay. How can I say?
I can say it
right
if you want
now,
me to.
No, right now that they're doing the whole, you know, the Jay is not sure of himself. He is so heavily into this yeet character. I think they need to build him up to be a badass to go against Gunther. And
But that's not what they're doing.
But I think they did this to kind of like, so when he does go against Gunther and he shows that killer side, they're gonna say, watching his brother bleed, something snapped in him, and he realized, I got to be a killer, right? So right now he's been saying it, but I think that's the way they're going with it. I don't know if I'm putting it right, but I think they're going to use this, showing that this is why all of a sudden he's just snapped into another vicious gear in order to go against Gunther and do what he needs to do. You understand what I'm trying to say?
I do. I'm also going to say that it's not the typical booking level that they normally are at, but here's something that I realized, and this is something that I think that a bunch of the matches have an issue with, is that I felt like they started the build to WrestleMania way too fucking early. And I think that WWE started realizing that matches like this Gunther versus Jey Uso match were starting to lose something. And while they're losing something, they needed something big, something special, something different to make them really catch back up and go, oh, no, this match still is important to us.
Right.
And I think, unfortunately, once again, everything happens at the expense of Jimmy Uso.
I feel sorry for him.
I mean, when the whole bloodline story started, who was the one that got beat down first? Jimmy fucking Uso. Now Gunther beating down Jimmy fucking Uso. So if I were WWE, the thing I would do tonight to show that Jey Uso has snapped is I would have him bloody the shit out of Ludwig Kaiser. Because even though they don't really show that they're together anymore, their music's still the same. They still favor each other. I would have Jey Uso beat the ever-loving piss out of Ludwig Kaiser. And I would have him bloodied. I would have him like stretchered out. I would be like, that's your WrestleMania moment.
Because they have to, because at this point, I agree with Michael. Before that happened last week, I wanted Jay to win, but I didn't believe Jay won. But because of what they did to Jimmy, if they do, like we're saying, show this motherfucker snapped, that make me believe, okay,
if Jey Uso doesn't win now,
yeah,
what does that mean for what the bloodline ever stood for? What does that mean for any Samoan that has ever been in professional wrestling?
Yeah.
Like, and remember, Jey Uso's the younger brother. So he's really got to step up. But tonight, and obviously we are not watching right now, but tonight, I would have him beat the shit out of Ludwig Kaiser. And by the way, that could also be the punishment that Ludwig and Tiffany have to deal with in real life for what we're going to talk about later.
Yeah.
Ready to move on?
Like, read Michael's real quick. Do you see Jay getting mad about himself not being in the main event and lose to Gunther and take it out on the winner?
So I've heard other people actually say that they'd be more surprised or less surprised to see Jey Uso join The Rock and John Cena and help Cody lose, turning Jey Uso heel. But I don't see any of that. Unfortunately, at this point, even though his name is Main Event Jey Uso, I see him opening either night 1 or night 2.
Yeah.
And you know, even worse than all of that is the women's title matches, because you would think if you're going to close the nights with the men's matches, you're going to open them with the women's matches. And now they got to find new spots for those, right? Like this, like Triple H is putting himself in a really bad corner with where this WrestleMania booking is going to go because you can't like are you saying going forward the Royal Rumble winner does not main event WrestleMania because that's bullshit. And this, by the way, is 2 years in a row he tried to do that.
And the main event they have is not even a title involved in that triple threat.
Right now, hold on. Right now, that triple threat is looked at as the night 1 main event. That's what I've been reading. Although, I think the triple threat needs to be the night 2 main event because you can't send the fans home unhappy. Not for a 2-night Mania, you can't. And after last night's AEW pay-per-view, you cannot, under any circumstance, send your fans home unhappy on night 2.
Okay.
Michael Turner's going nuts with the comments.
Yep.
The booking is a mess. I wouldn't necessarily say the booking is a mess. I think the booking, I think this is the first year that I'm sitting here going, I don't know what match is going to be first. I don't know what match is going to be last. I don't know what matches. Like, they can tell me that it's closing the show, but it's closing the show night 1, night 2. I don't know. That's fine. The booking, I think, has been great. Unfortunately, I think that there's times, like the Jay versus Gunther thing, where the booking, because they started February 1st to go to April 20th, is 10 weeks. Like, it's just too long. So that's what I think the real problem is. Ready to move on?
Yeah.
Hey, the Judgment Day on Raw last week finally got a win. They beat Braun Breaker and Penta. But Liv Morgan backstage sat there and said, did you notice that Finn sat there and said he won the match, not they won the match?
Yeah.
Tino, I'll let you talk. I'm starting to lose my voice.
This is a good match too, and I like that. At first, she and I'm pronouns, pal. Bianca was, she was calling it right down the middle. I do like that, when she finally had, she pulled them apart and she's like, "Hey, I'm the ref," and I knew eventually it was going to break down. I wasn't expecting it to break down like it did. I knew they wouldn't. I figured they were going to figure out a way to make it a triple threat. But this, her getting knocked around and just finally getting tired and just disqualifying everybody, and then Rhea losing her damn mind and just killed everybody. So I'm interested to see, and they still have it. Have they made it a triple threat? Has Pierce come? I wonder if that's going to be tonight. Pierce is going to go ahead and EO's going to yeah, fuck it, I want both of them.
It's gotta be. But you know what the biggest problem with this was? Is that so far, the person that has looked the worst is your champion.
She's right. And they've said it. They've said it on commentary. Like, she's the third wheel. And if you're saying it on commentary and people are seeing this right now, it is looking like it's Bianca and Rhea, and Io is an afterthought, right?
Which means
she's losing.
I hope to God Io Sky walks out of WrestleMania with that title still. That's what I'm hoping.
Bianca hadn't lost at WrestleMania, so I'm wondering if they're going to try to make her another Undertaker and try to get her little streak going too. Because I can see her keeping that title and or winning that title, and Jade coming over once all that's convoluted mess is sorted out. Jade and Bianca for that title.
I maybe Right now I kind of think that they're moving Jade and Naomi over to SmackDown and moving Bianca specifically to Raw. NXT last week.
I'm trying to think. It was so much.
Hold on. Here, let's talk about the main thing that happened. And it's because I've been saying this was going to happen for a while, Tino. Vaquer finally relinquishes one of the titles, keeping with how they've done it in the past. And
as much as I hate to admit it, I because I'm on TikTok, and on my For You page came across the show that shall not be named, and Bully Ray was saying how if she was good enough to have those titles and she was good enough to defend both those titles in one night, why not let her have both of them?
So, if you notice the way that I wrote this little dialogue right here below us,
yeah.
When Keith Lee became the double champ in NXT, the very first night that he was on the very next episode of NXT, he defended both titles. The episode after that, he relinquished the North American Championship. So they did the exact same thing. They literally kept the same way that they've always done it. And by the way, I'm okay with that. The crowd, however, was 100% against it. They booed the shit out of Ava when she sat there and said, "We've agreed that she's given up the title." And by the way, I love the fact that they gave Vaquer the microphone, who obviously struggles with English, and sat there and said, "I understand that nobody likes this decision, but I get to pick my opponent, and the women's division deserves 2 champions."
Yep.
100% right. It does. That women's division is stacked.
And then they cheered her when she said it.
They absolutely did. And it's because she took the true babyface route of doing it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, not this. Something. My theory about and that's towards the end, but my theory about Trick Williams being part of of that group. Now it could be a swerve, but they beat the shit out of Trick too.
You mean
it could be a swerve?
Wait. Are you talking about Trick or are you talking about Mello?
Trick Williams.
Right. But the OG said that he wasn't acting like Trick Williams. He was acting like Carmelo Hayes.
Shut up. Yeah.
I thought it was a great line. Like the young OG sat there and was like, "Wait, am I talking to Trick Williams or am I talking to Carmelo Hayes?" And that's what
Yeah, that was good.
Because unfortunately, right now, Carmelo Hayes, unfortunately, is being booked like Vince McMahon booked Tommaso Ciampa with the fucking Miz. He's literally his chauffeur right now.
Awesome. What do you call himself? Awesome.
Him. Yeah. It's okay to sit there and say Mello don't Miz. I'm okay with that one. But the him? Terrible. I didn't really see anything else from NXT being super important or crazy. Did you?
Ricky Saints winning the NXT.
Oh, yeah. I did not write that on here. I'm sorry. A week after Sean Spears sat there and said, "Hey, if it doesn't work out for you here, maybe you could go back to the..." We all know that that's not possible. And then Ricky Saints in the main event last Tuesday night beats Sean Spears for the North American Championship, which I had to ask, was it because it's Sean Spears or was it because they didn't want him to beat Tony D'Angelo?
I don't know. I think it was because of Sean Spears, and I think they realized too, because remember they made a point of saying if he won this, he would beat Ethan Page's record. Because remember of being how quick he became a champion, which came to fruition because who came out and hit his ass with a wicked grin at the end of the match, right?
So while that's true, he won the secondary title. Ethan Page won the NXT title.
Okay, well, still Ricky won a title quicker than Ethan Page did.
No, and I agree. I really like how they're implying, hey, we all came from the same place, and let's see who can do this faster.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Sean Spears is like, I don't care. I'm a 10-year veteran. I'm just gonna bide my time, eat my contract, and 10 years. You know, like, yeah, okay, cool. Ready to move on?
Yeah.
Do you remember anything from AEW Dynamite or Collision?
I do remember one thing. I think I texted you when they were talking about the tornado tag, and I said that's like Tornado Jones.
Tornado Jones. But then Tony Schiavone sat there and jumped back with what?
I sent it to you. I don't remember what it or Violence Violence Jones. Yeah, because I remember texting.
He said Violence Jones.
Yep.
That's what he said.
Yeah, Violence
Taz sat there and Schiavone and Excalibur were explaining the rules of the match between Swerve Strickland and Willow Nightingale versus Jon Moxley and Marina Shafir, and Taz sat there and said, go ahead and say it again.
Tornado Jones.
He said the Tornado Jones match. And then immediately after that, which is so funny because Tony Schiavone normally doesn't do anything like this. He's like Violence Jones too.
That made me pop. That's why I texted him.
Tino literally texted me, folks. I was running trivia at the time. Tino texts me over this, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. I sit there and I start watching it. Oh, there it is. But I didn't write anything special from AEW down, but I will.
She tried to kill Willow.
Yeah, again. So last week we talked about this that Marina Shafir and Willow Nightingale definitely seem to have some real heat. On top of that, though, I am going to point out that I did notice that shit, I was just about to say it. Now I forget it. Fuck.
Oh,
I literally just forgot what I was going to say.
You're getting old.
Yeah, Jones. I'm getting old Jones.
Jones.
Old Jones.
Senior Jones.
I'll turn it just a Jones.
Jones.
No, I literally was gonna. Fuck, I forget it. It doesn't matter.
All right.
Speaking of Jones, though,
with no cappuccino,
there was no Cappuccino Jones sighting this week. However, Tino, I
Jones.
told you I found him on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
What's his name on Twitter?
Ah, damn it!
I got it. Don't worry. Cold Brew Jones. Because someone already has Cappuccino Jones and only has 2 followers under Cappuccino Jones. But Cold Brew Jones.
Cold Brew Jones.
And I told Tino, folks, just so you know, I told Tino that I am going to reach out.
Dude, that would be so fucking awesome.
And I am going to try to get on the Potsy and Tino show our new favorite wrestler, Cappuccino Jones. WWE ID wrestler Cappuccino Jones. I'm gonna try to get him. So we're gonna work on it. Ready to move on?
Yep. Like SmackDown.
So I want to talk about
few things on there I want to talk about.
Well, there's two specific things, well, three that I really want to talk about. I want to get through everything else first. Okay? Because I think we're going to deep dive on at least two, if not three of these items. All right? Okay. First one.
Oh, he lost his damn mind.
But he gets his WrestleMania match.
Yep.
So go ahead. Got anything to say about it?
He's going to bring that belt home. And I think, too, he's going to separate from, obviously, I know he's separating from Samoa and Tama Tonga, but I think
Sikoa. Sikoa.
I said Tama Tonga.
You said Samoa. He's going to separate from Samoa.
Oh, sorry.
He is the Samoan werewolf. He is not separating from Samoa.
From Solo.
That's an entire island.
Sorry. But I think he's going to be the face because people are cheering him anyway. I think he's going to be the face.
I think that they're going to figure out a way to have him versus Solo Sikoa turn him babyface. 100%. Because right now, while he's getting cheered, he is still meant to be the heel in, but what did you think of how he beat Braun Strowman, where they went through that table and Wade Barrett and what's his face were trying to explain that he couldn't get out from the ice cream sandwich of the table. Braun Strowman. They were like he could not get out from the table. And by the way, I just want to point out, Braun Strowman was on his feet when they counted 10.
Yeah, he was.
He was holding the ropes. He was leaned out, but there was no knees down or any. He was upright.
So did the ref see it? You think? I'm trying to remember where the ref was.
No, and it very well could mean another triple threat match.
Okay.
And I'm okay with that. I'm literally okay with that. All right. So now that we did that one, McIntyre and Priest.
Priest with his daggone pirate pat. I mean, McIntyre with his pirate patch on his eye.
Well, dude, they apparently really had to pull something out of his eye.
Yeah. So what do you think?
This isn't a joke.
You think he'll be good for Mania, though? I mean,
I do. I think he'll be good. I think he might start the match with the patch on and then do the whole.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, you know what I mean? I kind of think that's coming.
I'm interested to see
what did you think of the announcement?
I knew it was going to happen.
Isn't it funny that it's technically a WrestleMania rematch?
Yeah.
Because of the 5 minutes that last year happened. Did
you see what Michael Turner said?
No.
Glass-eyed Jones. That was a good one.
I love it. I love it, but I feel like I'm Chris Barretted there.
Glass-eyed Jones.
Glass-eyed Jones.
That's funny.
All right. Who right now? Who do you got?
I think McIntyre, because he hadn't won one in a while. I think McIntyre's going to win that one.
I almost think that match ends in a double disqualification or a no contest or whatever, really? And they just keep it going.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that's the kind of match that you're okay with doing that with, because they haven't had a match yet, All right. Next thing I want to talk about
I think I was.
Lots of letters. Lots of letters.
I know I didn't watch this match, remember, because I was on the phone with you. Because remember, I kept saying I don't give a shit about this match.
The Motor City Machine Guns, Motor City Machine Guns won the match, and now they get a match against the Street Profits at WrestleMania. If I had to guess, I would assume this is a pre-show match.
Yeah, I think you insulted Michael Barrett. He said, "Rob, don't you cuss at me like that." When you said it was another comment.
Oh no, that's Michael Turner.
Yeah, Michael Turner. He said, "Don't cuss him like that. You compare him to Chris Barrett."
Michael Turner, I still like this one. Glass Eye Jones.
Yeah.
No, 100%. Like, you had already known that I was like, oh shit, did you see what happened later on? And you were like, I need to get through this damn tag team match before.
Yeah. Because I think I was like,
it wasn't even a bad match. It was a solid tag team match.
But you knew who was going to win.
I don't know if so I watched it straight through. I did not know who was going to win this. And the reason why is because I would have been okay with either one of them going against the Street Profits at WrestleMania. I also would have been okay if they sat there and said, well, it was a no contest. Both of you go against the Street Profits at WrestleMania. And by the way, since there's still another week before they actually get to that, it's very possible that is the case.
So this is going to be Triple Threat Mania? How many Triple Threats do you want to have?
Triple Threat Mania! Woo! Triple Threat Jones!
No, damn.
That's what it's going to be. All right.
Wrestle Jonesia.
Are we ready to start talking about the things that we need to talk about?
Yeah, because I want to. Because we still got to go. We still got a damn pay-per-view.
I'm going to talk about the one that hurts my feelings the most first.
Yeah. I've been
I know it happened after one of the other moments, but I want to get we're going to deep dive here.
I've been hearing rumors and kind of seeing things, but I thought it was a setup. I thought it was going to be a Mark Henry Salmon suit kind of thing. You know what I mean? He's going to say, "Oh, I'm hurt. I can't do it." And Randy was going to come out and he was going to pop up powerbomb him again, right? I didn't think it was real. And then when he came out.
So when I saw him walking backstage, I was like, something's not right. Something felt off by when they showed him walking backstage, because he wasn't walking. He wasn't walking like he had a mission, right?
I was still thinking it's a setup, though. He's looking sad. I was still thinking it was a setup.
So then there was obviously what he said, but then there was the moment where, like, WWE has posted the interview that he did, and Kevin Owens apparently was extremely upset with the fact that they knew by like Wednesday that on Friday he was going to go out there and do this. Okay. And during that, Kevin Owens had a meeting with like upper management, and he was like, I don't want anybody knowing about this because I want to go out there and I want to be the one to say it. Kind of like when Edge did it, like 2009 or whatever it was, right? And they were like, don't worry about it. Nobody's going to know. Nobody's going to know anything about it, blah, blah, blah. By the time it hit and he came out, it was on the internet. And by the way, I hadn't read anything about it. So when I saw him come out, I was like you, and I was thinking, this is part of the act. But when I saw him and Randy Orton just look at each other, and I didn't see either one of them attack the other one, I knew it was real. And I was upset. And I don't know about how you feel about it, but I'm upset about this. Like, because come to also find out that match against Cody Rhodes, where Kevin Owens' head went into the ladder as he took that Alabama slam, had nothing to do with the injury that he has.
So what caused it, did they say? Or when did he sustain it, did they?
So he went to and I'm glad you asked. WWE, he went to them and he said, something doesn't feel right. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know why it doesn't feel right, but something doesn't feel right in December. And he went and had an MRI. And the MRI said, you have some typical spinal stenosis, which is basically a breakdown of your spinal cord, right? But they said, for somebody who's been in wrestling for as long as you had, that's what you got. Nothing to worry about. You're still okay. And he was like, all right. Signed his new contract, went out, had that match with Cody Rhodes. After that match, did 2 more matches and sat there and said something didn't feel right in those 2 matches. Didn't explain what didn't feel right, but said something didn't feel right. They're like, okay, let's get through the tour, come back to the United States, go back to the doctors, have you run another MRI. He runs another MRI. They sit there and they go, something's definitely wrong. So most likely, sometimes you get like phantom pains and phantom this, phantom that. Like, if I had to guess, and I am not an expert in this, so I am not claiming that I know what happened to Kevin Owens, I would say that everything looked like it was lined up properly, but how the angling of the MRI was, something wasn't right. Had nothing to do with how he handled his body during the Cody Rhodes match, which blows my mind because we could all sit there and go, that's where it happened.
Mm-hmm.
But he said, no, I wrestled multiple matches after that. Normal matches, not hardcore matches. Did the same things I always do. But when I did them, something didn't feel right. If I had to guess, I'm going to say it was the cannonball. If I had to guess, I think the cannonball, he felt something wasn't right. Mm-hmm. He also does a swanton. I would assume something didn't feel right after a swanton. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Again, I don't know. He hasn't said, but if I had to guess, those are the 2 moves that would affect his neck.
Okay.
Make sense?
Makes sense.
So anyway, he sits there, says all that. What I'm worried about, Tino, is that he's saying, like people are already asking me, because obviously I watch pro wrestling all the time. I sit there and I know, okay, Steve Austin was out for a year. Kurt Angle was out for 6 months. This guy was out for whatever with neck injuries. How long is Kevin Owens going to be out? I am currently hearing 2 to 5 years. Now, that's what I'm hearing, because someone online is saying this injury is so severe that he might be gone like Big E.
He just signed a 5-year deal.
What's that?
Didn't he just sign a 5-year contract?
He signed a 3-year deal, but it wouldn't matter. Like, his contract will be extended through that. He'll get paid through the entire time, but they'll also give him health insurance, everything else. What I'm more worried about is that I really think that we're talking about a 12-month recovery, 15 to 18 months if it's rough, based on what I'm assuming it is. However, since they didn't really know what the injury was, we don't know. It could be longer. And it worries me.
Why does it worry you?
Because he's one of my favorite performers.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, now, having seen that segment, who do you have as Randy Orton's opponent?
Aldous.
Well, you say that only because I sat there and said, well, I really like the guy that they've got lined up for him. So
No,
again, Tino was about 15 minutes behind me on the broadcast. And I sat there and said, well, with Kevin Owens' injury, and he's like, I'm not there yet, bitch. I sat there and said, sorry, I forgot. I thought you caught up by now, blah, blah, blah. But with all that, I think
I thought they named somebody. I didn't realize you were saying you thought it was Aldous. I thought they had named somebody to replace him.
No, I thought it was Aldous, based on the 2023 Randy Orton handing him the check for the extra $50,000, saying this is for next time, and then giving him the RKO.
I think he could, because he's already told Cody that he was going for that belt. Technically, if we say that Cena's going to win that belt, they could relive or they can do a Cena Cody angle. Oh,
I don't know why. I don't know why Barrett wrote Chyna, unless it was because he's channeling his inner Santino Marella, but no, I think Randy Orton, the most likely possibilities. Are you ready? Rusev just re-signed.
Malachi, I think.
Aleister Black. But why can't it be Nick Aldis? Like, are you telling me Nick Aldis doesn't want to have a WrestleMania match?
Right.
I mean, he is the national treasure. Although when I asked him, he couldn't answer me what nation, because I was like, say you're the national treasure, but are you our national treasure or like Europe's national treasure? He got mad at that.
Because you're an asshole.
It was a great question.
Did he think it was a great question?
Mickey James did. She started laughing. All right. You ready for a real deep dive?
Okay. And I said this.
You didn't even say what the comment was. You just start. I said this.
They went in business for themselves, right? So you got to watch it before I did. And I watched it, and then I talked to you, and I said, it seemed to me that Chicago threw Charlotte off. She had what she was going to say. B, she knew she's not winning that. She's jealous, and I think she went in business for herself to try to bury Tiffy.
I mean, everything you said, I 100% agree with.
And I think, too, in return, Tiffy's like, no, bitch. I got something for you, too.
So, I've been trying to keep up with this all week. Every day there's something about it.
Because we both said that didn't look right at all. We both said like that.
Oh, they definitely went off script.
That they meant that. Like that it I kept telling you, it felt weird. It felt like when we were talking about Maria and Willow. It was like, right?
Yes. And let's start with trying to break it down. The first thing that I read was that Tiffany Stratton did not want to go into another moment unprepared. And it's because if you look back last week when they did like the face-to-face, Tiffany Stratton looked ill-prepared for someone who's not going to read the script. Right? That's
and
what it looked
her
like.
almost drills aren't strong enough to go off script.
And you and I, folks, just so you know, Tino called me as he started watching that segment, and he was like, "What the fuck did I just watch?" And I was like, "Oh, so you just got past the Tiffany Charlotte segment?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Okay. So how did you feel about it?" And he goes,
It was off.
"Which one of them went off script first?" And I literally was like, "It's got to be Charlotte. It's got to be Charlotte." And my point to Tino was that Tiffany Stratton is too new in the industry, even at 2+ years. She's too new in the industry to sit there and ever just drop off script before her opponent. So Charlotte dropped off script and sat there and tried to bury Tiffany Stratton. And between Tino and me, we sat there and said it's probably because Charlotte thinks this match is below her at WrestleMania. And Tiffany wasn't having that this time. Like, she's like, "You're not going to bury me." And if I had to guess, and I even said this to Tino, I said, Ludwig was probably the one that sat there and said, "Stick up for yourself. Like, you are a champion in WWE right now. You are not going to get fired." But Charlotte might. And neither one of them is going to get fired. They're going to make this into a fire angle.
They always do. Like, if something goes off, they know how to make chicken salad out of chicken shit. They're
trying to make chicken parmesan out of the chicken shit right now, not even chicken salad. Like, they're trying to make a good meal out of this.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, dude, you and I were sitting there like, where do you think it went off the rails? And you said it to me. You said, well, the Chicago crowd was pro Tiffy. And I was like, yeah, but even before they were pro Tiffy, they weren't letting Charlotte get a word in. And it's because they're tired of her bullshit. Like, this is one of those moments where, like, it's just like the AEW pay-per-view that we're going to try to jump into here in a minute, right? The fact that, like, she's sitting there, like, someone actually, the best line that I saw, Tino, was that after all was said and done and Tiffany ducked out of the ring and started walking away, Charlotte Flair looked like one of those boxers that was throwing one of those punches after they'd already been knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and honest to God, when she sat there and said, after all said and done, you're going to be just like you are in your divorces, alone, 0-3. And then she dropped and got out of the ring because she was afraid that it was going to become something else. And she was right. Because Charlotte immediately sat there and said, "Oh, that's why Ludwig is in my DMs." And of course, this is where you and I were like, okay, that definitely wasn't scripted, because they haven't actually mentioned their relationship on TV.
And I said that line was desperate, and you said Bush League. I'm reading the text.
I said Bush League. Goddamn right. Like that, but that wasn't even the only Bush League thing that she did.
And
Charlotte sat there. What?
The squeaky voice that
when
you brought up.
Charlotte was talking about what the fuck? I was like, Tino, she should have just given up. She was done. She got beat by someone who's only been in the industry for 2 years. Like, she got wrecked right there. And there's like I said, we're deep diving in this. Like, she had nothing. And this is after she destroyed Tiffany Stratton 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And
but you're right. I did want to mention that too. You're right when she said, just like your voice is 0-3, and she dropped the mic. She got out the ring, but I think she got out the ring because she thought Charlotte was going to come whoop that ass. Because Charlotte did step to her as she was rolling out the ring. Because I think Charlotte, I think that got to Charlotte, and for a split second, if Tiffany would have stayed in that ring, it'd have been something totally different.
So the statements online were that her dropping out of the ring was totally a defense mechanism, but there was also the moment where Wade Barrett put his hand in the way.
Yep.
And I sent you his response to the whole thing, where he sat there and said, I was trying to be like the
Yep.
the mediator, and suddenly I was Jerry Springer. But who got the last laugh on all of it? Ludwig Kaiser. When he sat there and posted the video of Shawn Michaels looking at that one woman and going, don't flatter yourself. And
that
my favorite thing wasn't even that. It was that I saw on Twitter afterwards, it said Ludwig Kaiser, and it showed a picture of him, and it said, the only guy that we hear might have cheated on his girlfriend, and none of us believe it happened.
I hadn't seen that one. Man.
So, last thing I'll say about it is that, oh man, there's 10 comments. Last thing I'll say about it is that Ludwig is a babyface now. That's great, Chris Barrett. That was great. Except he's getting bloodied this week by Jey Uso. So
yeah, I think so.
Last thing I'll say about it is that everything I'm reading online is that neither one was in the right. They were both wrong, right? But everybody backstage is saying we'd like to see more people stand up to Charlotte that way. Wow.
Wow, I didn't hear that. Wow.
Yeah. All right. Last thing about SmackDown, and then we're jumping into the pay-per-view. You ready?
Yeah, you talk about that, because I thought that was so fucking stupid.
Okay. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. And I got to talk about the pay-per-view because you didn't even watch it.
I didn't watch it.
So, The Favor. I was a little disappointed by it. You were a little disappointed. You were very disappointed by it. All night, they blew it up. They made it into this huge thing. And got to the end of the night. And by the way, when Seth Rollins got out of the one vehicle and Paul Heyman was standing backstage and Seth Rollins sat there and said, I think you're waiting for the other Shield guy.
Next to
Great line. It's a great line. Byron Saxton kept going up to Paul Heyman all the way up to like 15 minutes before the show ends. And he goes, Paul, when is Roman going to be here? And he goes, he'll be here when he's here. And that was like it. So they get all three of them in the ring. And obviously at this point, Seth Rollins is riled up. Roman Reigns. And Punk gets in the ring and he goes, we're here to talk about the favor. And the favor is simple. And this is why Tino doesn't like it, because it's so simple. It's because CM Punk sat there and said, when I started in this business, I only had so many friends. Earlier in the night, he called Paul Heyman his best friend. Paul Heyman called him his best friend.
Yes.
We're sitting there listening to them, and he said, my favor is to ask that my best friend accompanies me to the ring in the main event of WrestleMania. And there is a video where Paul Heyman talking to, I want to say it was during the 434 days leading up to WrestleMania, because I could swear that it's short-haired Punk with the sideburns. And he sits there and he says, at some point, you're going to be told what your match is, and you're going to have to demand that they give you this. And what I want you to have them give you is us coming down that aisle at WrestleMania. And this is like 2010. Coming down that aisle at WrestleMania as the main event, and they have to deal with both of us. And here's where it got interesting, because I, like you, was disappointed until Roman Reigns sat there and said, is that all? Even if I would let the wise man do that, there's no way he would ever do that. There's no way he would ever turn on me. Like, get out of here. Psh, psh.
Right.
And then he goes, wise man, let this man down easy. Let him know that there's no way you're going to sit there and go down the aisle at WrestleMania with him, because you're my wise man. And of course,
not gonna happen.
Paul Heyman grabs the microphone and he goes, I'm sorry, my tribal chief, I cannot say that. And you literally see, this is one of those moments where you literally see everything fall out of the one person. And Roman Reigns just immediately goes, what? And as he goes to confront Paul Heyman, he gets hit with the microphone in the back of the head by CM Punk. CM Punk ends up pulling him into the ring and doing the go to sleep, which, by the way, was probably the best sell of a go to sleep I've ever seen, because Roman Reigns is ended with his arm on his back and he's got his legs all out. Like, he is just completely stunned.
He went to sleep.
He went to sleep for about 38 seconds. But the videos, my favorite thing was when I saw all these memes that sat there and said, I'll never forgive CM Punk for making my tribal chief Peter Griffin. But I gotta tell you, because of how well Roman Reigns sold how much of a not distraction, but a turncoat moment that was, sold me on it. However, I told you last week, and I'll say it again, I'm worried that this means that Paul Heyman's leaving with Seth Rollins at the end of WrestleMania. Because you got two people fighting over him, and he's going over, he wants the one that actually, like, can learn from him.
Okay, we'll see.
And I really see that being the case. I also see them going heel again because Paul Heyman is a better heel than he is as any kind of babyface.
Unfortunately, yeah.
And right now, we're still buying Punk as a baby. We're buying Roman as a baby. But if Seth Rollins leaves with Paul Heyman, they're both heels.
Yeah.
Especially if they leave with the win. Which, by the way, right now, Seth Rollins needs that win more than either of those other guys.
No, I think Punk's winning, unfortunately. I think Punk's going to come out with that win.
I mean, it's a good possibility. I could see him winning the match, and then as he's like, Paul, let's go home, Paul sits there and nuts in one and walks out with Seth Rollins. I don't know. I just think that if Paul Heyman is meant to be a heel rather than a babyface, being with Seth Rollins makes more sense. Are you ready to talk about AEW's pay-per-view?
Yeah.
Did you know there was 13 fucking matches on that goddamn card?
I didn't until you texted me last night.
13 fucking matches.
Does that include the pre-show, though?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
and from the pre-show, there was Max Caster versus Anthony Bowens. And I enjoyed it. Happened for like 4 minutes. But you know what I didn't like was Max Caster trying to tell me that I need to sit there and go, Max Caster is the best wrestler in the world. Like, fuck him. Is he just trying?
Best wrestler alive.
Is he literally trying to become the Brooklyn Brawler? Because everybody is going to beat him in a real world situation at that point. Was not happy about it. I didn't like that. AR Fox in that match. Okay, that's all fine and everything. I'm really just gonna. I've got like 10 matches here that I want to talk about, and that's more than I really wanted to talk about. So I'm gonna try to get through them quickly. Ospreay versus Kevin Knight.
You knew he was gonna win.
We did. He allowed Kevin Knight to sit there and look as good as he possibly could. However, this was the start of a wrestling pay-per-view where I kind of felt that all the matches were going to be what you'd expect from them. So they could be excellent matches, okay? Meltzer gonna sit there and give this 5.25 stars because it's a 3.25 star match, but he gives it that the Ospreay kicker, right? So he gets 2 stars. So 5.25 stars. Match is fine for what it was. Ospreay moves on to the next round of the tournament. Great. Problem is that it started off immediately telling us every match, everybody you expect to win is going to win. Okay? Rated FTR versus the Death Riders. Who won the match, Tino?
I'm sure the Death Riders did. Well, I know the Death Riders did.
The Death Riders won the match. Wheeler Yuta, I think, actually got the pin in his hometown of Philadelphia. They were booing the shit out of Wheeler Yuta. The match ended, and I immediately texted you. And I said, I know you're hanging out with your wife on her birthday, but Rated FTR did exactly what I expected. Which, by the way, I didn't think was exactly what the internet expected until I read everything that the internet expected about it, which was Cash and Dax were staying together and they were just going to turn on coke. And they did. And they did it in a way that made it seem like, oh, Cash isn't really buying into, oh, wait, no, hold on a second. Yes, he is. Now he's giving a concerto to Edge. Yeah. I'm okay with it. I in fact enjoyed the moment where Cash actually put the neck brace on and got on the stretcher and said, okay, take me out. And he goes, oh, no, it's not me. Don't worry. And then said, go ahead, get the other guy. That was pretty funny. I didn't expect FTR to break up here like everybody else seemed to. Did you?
No. I figured they would, because they hugged it out on Collision, so I figured they were back, they were good. I wasn't expecting that.
I mean, it's a pretty fun moment if you watch it. I was like, oh, that's a little dip, but I was like, I just recently saw the New Day turn on Big E. So the tag team stayed together and they turned on their other partner. And that's kind of what happened here. So I wasn't exactly blown away by that. Mercedes Moné versus Julia Hart in the Owen Hart tournament. I know why Mercedes Moné won the match. I totally think that this was the moment that they could have had her lose a match.
Why do you think they let her win the match?
Dude, she's winning this tournament.
You think so?
100%. She's winning this tournament. She's going to go against Toni Storm for the women's AEW championship at All in Texas. She's probably winning that title. And I think I just broke my jaw sitting there like talking about it. What?
I thought you were having a stroke. I'm like, you all right, dude? I'm not joking. All of a sudden you just start your face. I'm like, I got concerned for a second.
So I'm not even talking about issues with my family right now, but because they're a lot easier than I make it sound. But I was watching this match. I was like, God damn it. Now is the time to sit there and pull the trigger on like a 23-year-old, like brand new star and give her this moment. And then, nope, she's in the money bank statement, whatever they call it at this point.
The money bank statement.
And she taps out on it, and I was pissed. Yeah, I'm not happy. Kenny versus Ricochet versus Speedball. Who do you think won? Did you already read it?
Of course, Kenny. Well, I knew, Kenny won, but I knew Kenny won before I read it. I knew Kenny wouldn't win. He just won that belt. They're not gonna take it off him yet.
So this was like the second to last match of the night, by the way, which surprised me. Kenny did win. All of the guys looked good, but nothing special happened. You know, like you got everything that you expected out of all three of them.
Good.
Speedball did a couple crazy ass moves. Like he tried to do his spin into a knee drop, and he ended up hitting the side of the ring, which would have blown out knees, right? That was kind of cool. The match was great, but we knew who was going to win. So what was the point? Okay. Jericho versus Bandito. Title versus mask.
And since he'd already taken Bandito's brother's mask and they got it back, and it was Bandito coming up for revenge, I kind of figured Bandito was going to win that match.
Bandito lost the match.
He won they had to restart it.
Then they restarted it. And the restart was a kick to the face and a finishing move and a 1-2-3. I get why they did it. I get why they did what they did. I get all of it. In fact, it was so that Jericho would get another special moment during this entire pay-per-view. Because nothing else special happened, it felt like. But it fell flat. Like I read the Bleacher Report review on the entire pay-per-view, and like every match is like B+, A-, B+, A-, B+. It wasn't. Some matches I literally watched 6 hours of AEW wrestling yesterday, and I was a little disappointed at some points. But I'll tell you where I was excited.
I'm glad I didn't waste my time.
I was excited when Adam Cole had to use both of his hands to lift that giant title up over his head. I don't know if you saw the picture, but the picture online is Adam Cole grabbing the TNT title, and the TNT title is like twice as big as him.
I hadn't seen that.
I'll send it to you. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen because I sent it to the Facebook group and everybody was like, I chuckled, right? But it literally made the title so big and it made him look so little. It's hilarious. Here's my issue with this. I didn't even know they were going for the title. I had seen one match from Adam Cole in like 4 months. And part of it's because I don't watch Collision on a regular basis. I get that. I know that that's the issue. When he beat Danny Garcia for the title, he shook his hand. Danny Garcia then sat on the apron and looked like he was just dejected. He was like,
Really?
He was like, and then he rolled off and went to the back. But he sat there for like a minute and a half. And Adam Cole, who I'm now assuming is the holder of the second biggest AEW title. Is it? I don't even know.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's the second biggest title. He looked like he hurt his ankle again.
Adam Cole did? I've read that he did that on purpose. Like he You know.
I think it was to sell the ankle injury.
Yeah.
Which, you know what? You can do that for so long, but at some point, you gotta stop selling the same fucking injury. It's been a year, man. Sell something else. Sell the fact that your heart's broken because Britt Baker got released.
But if he didn't sell it, then you'd be like, oh, they don't sell anymore.
Did you hear what I just said?
Yeah, I heard what you said. That's why I ignored it. What?
Hurt Syndicate.
What?
Beat Big Bill and that other jobber. What's his name?
The Bad Apple.
Oh, that guy. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. By the way, solid match. There were a couple moments where Big Bill actually threw Bobby Lashley around, which was kind of nice. Because when was the last time you saw Bobby Lashley get thrown around? Right? But MJF ended up hitting one of them with the ring. Bobby Lashley threw into the ring, and Shelton Benjamin pinned him. Okay? And MVP was on commentary, and they were saying it, and they were like, the Hurt Syndicate doesn't look happy about it. And all of a sudden, MVP's like, they're happy they got the win. And that was about it. Tony Storm versus Megan Bayne.
I told you Tony was going to win.
I think we all knew that. Out of the entire night, by the way, only 2 titles changed hands. So sorry for ruining it before I get to the main event here. But Tony Storm wins the match. I don't know if you saw the video that I sent you of her at the press conference where she's like, if you're in a Nissan Sentra, move your car. And she was talking about Taz because she was talking about a black and orange vehicle. and all you saw was Tony Khan go. Fucking hilarious. Fucking hilarious. But did any of us expect Megan Bayne to beat Tony Storm? No. Fucking garbage. A woman who's never spoken a word, I'm supposed to assume is going to beat a 4-time AEW Women's Champion. Shut the fuck up, Tony Khan. I'm tired of this bullshit. And I know what it is. I know that you're sitting there going, oh, we're just setting up Tony Storm versus Mercedes Moné, title for title at All In. Shut the fuck up. Time to give Moné a loss because you claim you listen to crowd reaction. Sorry. Ready for the next one? Tino? I'm having a hard time even talking about this one.
Well,
I read Bleacher Report's breakdown of the match and their grade for it, and they go straight to fucking garbage.
Well, damn.
Because, are you ready? These motherfuckers started this match out as a catch as catch can. We're going to do a test of strength, and we're going to do all this. Shut the fuck up. John Moxley doing a test of strength. Get the fuck out of here. I'm done. You can't sit there and tell me that this son of a bitch who has been bitching and moaning about how AEW wrestles matches, does all this garbage, and all he wants to do is employ violence. is going to sit there and do a fucking test of goddamn strength.
Mm.
The match, first of all, here's where I really had a problem with it. You know what time the fucking main event of this pay-per-view started?
It's like 11:30 or something.
11:50. Now, pay-per-views are supposed to, like with AEW, are supposed to be off the air by midnight. This motherfucker went to like 12:28. But the first 10 minutes were the two of them just trying to figure each other out. It was the most boring start to bullshit I've ever like the fact that Bleacher Report gave it a like, I want to say they gave it a B-. The fact that they even gave it a B- is fucking a travesty. This match took forever to get going. When it did, sure, it finally took off. The idea that Swerve did the Swerve stomp off of a ladder into the table on top of Jon Moxley was great. And Swerve blew out his knee. Okay, fine. Great. Marina Shafir bringing the thing into the ring, wanting to hit Swerve, but Nana getting into the ring and stopping it from happening. Cool. Great. Problem, though. Hangman comes down to the ring, right? They do this thing that takes, I swear to God, it felt like it took 4 minutes for Hangman to finally determine who he was going to try to do the, what's his move? Over the rope.
Buckshot lariat.
The buckshot lariat. And he didn't even get to do the buckshot lariat because guess who came down? All three fucking members of the damn Death Roster. And they started beating down Hangman. Hangman took them all out of the ring. But he never got to do a buckshot lariat. He did do a deadeye to Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley got up. Jon Moxley sits there and goes to give his impaler DDT to somebody. Accidentally hits Marina Shafir. Okay, cool. We're suddenly thinking, holy shit, Swerve has a chance to win this. Swerve sits there, hits a Swerve stomp on fucking Jon Moxley, and he looks like he's about to cry because he's like, this is about to happen. And we're all like, this is about to happen. And then the motherfucking lights go out. And the motherfucking lights come back on. And the goddamn owner of the fucking company, who claims that he listens to the fucking audience, sits there and hears 15,000 people fucking boo that end of that fucking match. And he has the audacity. He has the audacity to sit there and claim that he takes our reaction and our feelings into account and gives us what we want as a fucking audience. And I can only sit here right now and tell you that son of a bitch has made me never want to watch his fucking product again, because for the third fucking pay-per-view in a goddamn row, I have watched as he has not shown me that World Heavyweight Championship and has not given me anything that I want. And I'm done. And I'm done.
So you never said what happened when the lights came back on. What happened?
Why don't you tell everybody?
Oh, I told you it was the young fucks, but I don't know what they did. I just know the lights came back on the young fucks.
They
somehow.
literally had Swerve Strickland with his knees on the ground and his arms out like this.
Oh, they hit their move.
And they hit the young fuck V trigger or whatever the fuck they call it. They basically made him look like I can't even say it, man. I can't say it.
And then Moxley pinned him. All right. But what was the point of the Young Bucks coming up to help Moxley?
Based on the last time we saw them, nothing. Because the last time we saw them, they were being asked to help take care of the Death Riders.
And they were shredding papers and documents and trying to get out of the building.
And that's got people sitting there going, oh, well, that means that they were shredding papers for the Death Riders and blah, blah, blah. Really? Is that what I'm supposed to believe? Well, all I can really believe is that the two of them ruined another goddamn pay-per-view.
Yep.
And all I can say to that is, especially considering Tino just walked away, is the only thing I can say to that is I'm so goddamn glad I didn't pay for the fucking pay-per-view. Because I literally feel like this was like sold out 1997. I felt like everything that I expected to happen happened. And I was hoping, I was praying that just one or two things would be different. And it literally felt like Eric Bischoff booking, which makes me laugh more than anything else because Tony Khan and Eric Bischoff do not get along.
Well, you could have fooled me because he's taking Bischoff School of Booking 101.
Dude, I'm so disappointed. I wish I could tell you that there was something in there that really impressed me. Like, if Julia Hart had beaten Mercedes Moné, entire night, I would have given a pass on the fucking Young Cucks.
Okay.
The fact that none of it, like I let me put it this way. I'm so glad you weren't at my house. And I know it was I know it was Nicole's birthday. Today's my mom's birthday. I know all that stuff. I am so glad you were not over my house for it because you would have left and you would have been so angry at the end of that fucking pay-per-view. And I don't understand like what his thought process is. I don't. Like why have the Young Cucks show up to kick to V-trigger kick or well, what's that kick thing they do?
It's a V-trigger.
So what's the deal? Like why do that when everybody was asking for your help against the Death Riders before? Why suddenly are you just the bitches that are doing Jon Moxley's bidding? Is there even a reason?
I'll find out Wednesday.
I mean, literally every story around the Death Riders took a really weird fucking, well, that just fucked everything up turn. You know, because obviously Rated FTR decided we're not going to worry about the Death Riders anymore. We're going to sit there and beat up Edge. And then the other side of the Death Riders was like, well, somehow I talked the Young Cucks into sitting there and blowing me tonight.
Oh, no.
I know, we're over 2 hours.
Yeah. All right.
I believe that's the last thing I actually had.
Good.
I believe that is, yes, that is the last thing I had.
Because if it wasn't, you were going to finish this show by yourself. Because I got to go to bed.
Well, it's your turn to sit there and tell everybody everything.
Tino, I am on Blue Sky. You can also catch me on Insta SC Tino, TikTok Tino All Great Music. You can catch us on X. We're Potsy and Tino. Facebook's the Potsy and Tino Show. We're here each and every week on the Pots and Pan Network. Please give us a thumbs up, like, subscribe, buy our shit. Say thanks to Adam's House Cat for the wrestling song. You can get it on the iTunes for 99 cents. 99 Jones and Rob
Pochak, Rob Potsy, Pochak on pretty much everything. Pochak on Twitter, everything else, Rob Pochak or Rob Potsy, Pochak. Folks, we've had a blast. Buy our shit on TeePublic. And apparently the Thunder Tits shirt that I tried to create was not approved. I tried. But for everybody else out there, thanks so much for watching. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, send all those comments. Yes. A duo, a Miro.
Whatever.
And folks, we will see you next week. Love you. We'll be here next week. See you next time.
Ready? Ownership contributes in the Potsy and Tino.
For the Potsy and Tino Show.
Thanks for watching.